X-Men 97, baby. February 26th, and we get to talk about it right now. This is by far probably the biggest Star Wars product release that has happened in at least the last, 2 years or something? At least the last year for sure. I can't think of a bigger one.
We're trying to put out the coolest products we possibly can. We're taking our time. The love in the hobby is there for it, and it doesn't just feel like we're making products to make products. We want products that have meaning. Just hearing that someone saw a design that's maybe not the most expensive card, but that they love that card, because that to me is the coolest part of it.
Welcome to Hobby Nonsense. I am Jesse Gibson, your host, and today is a very special day, and I'll tell you why it's a special day. This may be one of the bigger guests that I have had the pleasure of doing an interview with, and I'm not just talking about on the Hobby Nonsense podcast. I'm including our Sports Cards Nonsense podcast as well. Now, granted, we've interviewed presidents of companies, but we've also interviewed Michael Rubin, and we've interviewed Bobby Bones and a number of celebrities and things like that. But today, in the world of non-sports, getting to interview the director of culture and entertainment, it means a lot. It means a lot because you're talking to the guy who is helping to pave the way for where the non-sport world is going in the licensed realm of the hobby. You know, there's many people out there who are making cards of different subject matters that they make it and it's cool, but it doesn't have any real staying power because maybe 5 other people have made it because no one needed the license or they just never got one. And to know these are painstakingly fought to get, going through lawyers and the right protocols to get. We're going to find out more. Again, I'm from the future. I've already done the interview. You're going to get to find out more of what goes into some of that. And not only that, we finally get to talk about X-Men, Star Wars. It's going to be a fun show. I look forward to seeing what you guys think after you get to listen to it. But before we get to our interview with Aaron Abrams, I would like to just talk about one thing that has been on the minds of many non-sport collectors out there, and I'm going to go ahead and say it's about Pokemon, because we got to talk a little Pokemon every episode, it seems. This is not good Pokemon talk, though. If you have not seen, there has been a bit of a scandal emerging in the Pokemon world, and that comes in the matter of forgery and fake cards being graded, but not just any fake forged Pokemon cards. These are some of the most expensive Pokemon cards that they sell. We're talking about some of the prototype cards that had come out in the last few years. These were cards that were supposedly made back in the mid-90s or so. Takumi Akabane, I believe, is one of the original creators of these of Pokemon and the cards themselves. He was one of the ones who helped when CGC went to grade some of these prototype cards just to confirm that they're real and that there was no issues with the cards. I believe he was actually maybe even one of the people who supplied some of these cards. If you're not aware, many modern day printers have a feature on them where, not visible to the naked eye, they print a kind of watermark onto paper whenever there's a printing made. And that watermark helps both government officials and others be able to determine where that printing came from if they ever had to track it down. Your modern home HP printer does the exact same thing. You just aren't aware of it. So what they are finding is that some of these supposed mid-90s prototype cards have watermarks on them that came from 2024. Yeah, not great, especially when you consider that as of September of last year, one of these cards sold for as much as $200,000 at the Sotheby's Fanatics Collect auction that they held. This is a huge deal. And it's not just a huge deal for Pokemon collectors, especially more of the high-end ones. It's a huge deal for CGC. I feel bad because that if they're going as far as to get, this creator of Pokemon to get involved, that they probably took some efforts to make sure these were real cards. But if you didn't, I guess it's a concern knowing that this is something, this printing watermark. I know I've heard about it before. So it's not like it's a brand new thing. People know about this. How is that not just one of the things that I would think any grading company would take into account before grading a card? Just like, hey, I could run this under a certain lighting or test to see what is the dot matrix printing on here to see if I can determine the year it was made. And that kind of just goes ahead and rules out any fakes that were done that way. I would just think they would have done that. And apparently at this point in time, there's a little over 1,500 cards that are being called into question that CGC has graded. It's not great. CGC has acknowledged this. They are looking into this actively as we speak. They've put out a notice that if you are hosting an auction that holds one of these cards, to stop it immediately until everything can be reviewed and looked over. As of right now, though, not only are these cards prototype cards, but they're also they're talking about now. I've seen something that has something to do with the award cards, like the tournament trophy cards. That's the word I'm looking for. Some of these trophy cards are being said to have possibly been falsely printed that have been sold out there. It brings in a lot of questions, right? It makes us wonder, are grading companies using technology to just double check and see, hey, does the printing dot matrix watermark on here line up with the year that this card was supposedly made? So as we move forward, as I hear more about this, I'll update on the pod, but it is obviously a little bit of a blow. It does not look to have affected most modern stuff. In fact, if anything, I kind of theorize this may boost the modern market, maybe even more, because it's hard to see that, oh, this is just going to completely wipe out people from collecting Pokemon altogether. If anything, they're probably going to go after cards that have less likelihood of being forged, more of the modern cards, even though those do get their fair amount of forgery, but those are a little bit easier to tell based on colors and printing techniques and things like that. You don't have to have like any special technology to see dot matrix watermarks on there. Collectors aren't going to be going after some of those older high-end Pokemon cards. They may be coming after some of the more modern day cards, and that would be some of these new prismatic evolutions, EV cards that are going for thousands of dollars, or maybe even some of the other ones from 151. We've seen a dramatic increase in pricing across the board. So we'll see, time will tell, but I'll continue to update as we get more details on that story. It's time to nerd out when it comes to Star Wars. We're talking Galactic Antiquities. We're talking Hyperspace, which you may or may not even know about because that one was just released. And then we're going to be talking X-Men 97 with Aaron Abrams. Aaron Abrams, Director of Culture and Entertainment, has joined the Hobby Nonsense podcast today. Aaron, how are you?
Doing great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Very good. I am very excited to have you on here. I don't want to disparage my previous guests, but for this new pod, you are by far the biggest name that we have had in the hobby scene. And I actually thought this was a big get even for the Sports Cards Nonsense podcast, let alone this one. So I am very excited to have you.
My mother would agree with you, but probably the rest of the world would not. But I appreciate the gentle intro, so appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm curious, how long have you been in this position?
In this position as Director of Culture and Entertainment, about 1.5 years now, but I've been with Topps about 5 years now. And before that was at Upper Deck. So I've had a long history in trading cards at this point, pretty much my whole career.
That's cool. All right. How long have you been doing specifically like the culture and entertainment side? Was it before that, this last 1.5 years?
I was actually on the baseball side for a long time. There was pretty much a big reorg with our internal group. Culture and entertainment, I'm probably the biggest nerd of the group. So naturally they said, hey, we know you love this stuff. There's an open position here. We think you'd be great for it. And it worked out perfectly.
I don't want to name names, but I was told you are the second coolest person that works at Topps.
Jeremy?
I said I don't want to name names, Aaron. And you saw his American Pie card, right? With the mullet?
I did. I have one.
I have one too. Did he sign yours?
No, I haven't gone that far just yet, but I'll get there.
All right. I don't like to, it kind of feels good to know mine has the auto on there. Not a big deal. I'm not bragging. All right, Aaron, let's talk about why you're here, because you're here for a number of reasons. The first being Galactic Antiquities that is coming out as of the time people are listening to this. It comes out today. It comes out on Wednesday, February 5th. This is by far probably the biggest Star Wars product release that has happened in at least the last, 2 years or something? At least the last year for sure. I can't think of a bigger one.
Yeah, I would say so. We've had a huge, what I would say, shift in direction with how we're thinking about all entertainment cards. Star Wars is no exception to that. We're trying to put out the coolest products we possibly can. We're taking our time, care of craft for pretty much everything. I think the one thing that we want to make sure is like the love and the hobby is there for it, and it doesn't just feel like we're making products to make products. We want products that have meaning and products that are there for every type of collector, from the entry level collector all the way to somebody that's going for something like the Galactic Antiquities, that there is something there for them on shelf.
I like that because I feel like we're seeing more and more guys dabble into the entertainment side of things that were maybe strictly only sports before. And to see them wanted to come over, it's like, well, I don't want, just the animated cartoon of this, or I don't want, just this thing I don't care about, right? They want different high quality cards of the things they care about, whether that is, say, Clone Wars, an animated show, or one of the movies or one of the Disney Plus shows, specifically, at least as we talk Star Wars. So where do you find this product, Antiquities? What part of the Star Wars universe does this take up?
This one takes up, this is for the people that love the chase, the super high end chase. It lives in the world of, I guess you could say like a dynasty or a museum collection or diamond icon style. If you're thinking of sports, now it has a little bit of difference because entertainment has its own set of challenges, of course. But this being that kind of ultimate tier product that we have for Star Wars right now. Now I know we used to have Stellar Sigs. That went the way of the dodo because of obvious obstacles in putting that product out, and feasibility. So this was our next stop, our next logical stop in trying to find a middle ground between what we have with Masterworks on a year-to-year basis and what we used to do with Stellar Sigs as well.
Okay, can I talk about Stellar Sigs just for a second before we continue on the Antiquities train? The Stellar Sigs, I was not as aware of it. As someone who got back into the hobby like 2021, I wasn't familiar because I don't think this has come out since, I think 2019 may have been the last year. And so when I found out about this, as I was researching Galactic Antiquities, I realized, this was like, how many it had dozens of autos in every box. Is that right?
It was pretty much, I wouldn't call it a transcendent style product, but it was as close as you can get to that, again, super premium tier. And it just wasn't sustainable for the time. So we try to find something that's repeatable, sustainable, and still serves the market that we felt like was lacking for entertainment and Star Wars specifically.
Okay, good. Because I did also see, I think there was at least one of the releases, I think there was maybe like 100 boxes of it or something like that. I don't know. There wasn't a lot of that made, and understandably so when you've got basically almost all the actors of the Star Wars universe signing into one product. Do you know what those came out at? Like what those were selling at when they first came out? Because I see some pricing around like $5,000. That may have been like resale though.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking about the hobby from a 2019 perspective with SRP. So today it would be something completely different, I'm sure. But yeah, they settled around 5,000 today. So back then, I don't recall the exact price of them, but they would have probably settled around like 3,000 or so.
Man, that's great. But that just goes to show like just how rare it was and how packed full of collectible cards there were in there. Now, fast forward to today, we are now getting all the information on Antiquities. This has been something that's been in the works for at least the last year. And correct me if I'm wrong, at least maybe 2023. Is that right?
Yeah, this originally went into dev just as an idea in late 2022. 2023, it actually started to come to fruition a little bit. Some bumps, bruises along the way. I actually, as part of joining the entertainment team, started to take it over about halfway through the stream. And so saw some things that were necessary to change, saw some sharp corners that needed polishing. And it kind of moved all the way out until now. It was supposed to come out in 2024, but we wanted to make sure we got the best product out possible. So that's why it's treating a little bit later than expected.
Okay. Now this product does not have dozens of cards in it. In fact, it has 9 cards in it. Now, first off, before we talk about the specifics of those cards, I have gotten a couple of these because I'm going to be breaking this on Wednesday. And I got my case, and the case has 1 box in it, and I took the box out. Now, granted, it's still in the cellophane. I haven't taken it out and opened anything yet because I've got to break it online, but it is heavy. It's like it's much heavier than just 9 cards would be. What is making up that extra weight? Or can you tell me, or is there some kind of surprise here?
No, I guess I would say there's a lot of protection in there. All the cards are also encased, so every single card that you get in that, minus the 1977 tribute card and the original oversized sketch card, the original art card, are all encased cards. There's metal cards in there. Again, there's a lot of foam padding to make sure that it's safe as it gets distributed. And on the inside, there is a magnetic flap box within the larger box that you can pretty much use to store your trading cards if you want to as well. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Okay. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that then. I got to find a giveaway or something. You mentioned the 5x7 oversized card. Are those hand-drawn cards?
Hand-drawn, hand-painted. There's a lot of different mediums that some of our artists use. So if you've caught on with what we tried to do this year with Topps Chrome Star Wars, we started to tier out our artists in terms of kind of like a more base version, and then like the gold tier and the black tier being the ultimate artists. So the ones that we think are like the guys that go out and have some of the most photorealistic art possible, the ones that really have a huge following, the Angel Aviles of this world, like that kind of artist. We mainly contracted black tier, in our opinion, artists for this, and they did an amazing job because, of course, they have a much bigger canvas to play on. I've seen them use a ton of different medium. I've seen them use acrylics, oil paints, watercolors. We have people, of course, doing hand sketch pencil, and then even to the point of some of them using like lacquer and glitter and whatnot to really bring out the depth of the art too.
The black label artists from Topps Chrome, I saw I pulled one of these sketches that was absolutely one of the most incredible sketch cards that I had seen. It was like General Thrawn, and every bit of this thing was colored, and it was pencil, like colored pencil or something like that. And I thought to myself, how amazing would this be if this was just bigger, like just a little bit bigger for an actual display piece? So I am so glad that of the pieces that you're using, you didn't like print this, like digitally print. This is actually the hand-drawn one. I think a lot of the collectors are going to like that.
Yeah, and I think that's going to cover a lot of the, again, we put a ton of value into this product, a lot of care. And I think this is possibly the coolest part of it, in my opinion, is because it's all one-of-one art. And these artists, they have a lot of care of craft in what they do. And it comes in a little bit of kind of like a framing device. You could take the card out of it. It's got a back and everything, but there is like a wood box that it can sit in as well. So if you just want to stand it up on your desk and almost have it as like a display, it's pretty much pre-built into, which I think is really cool.
That's awesome. Okay, very cool. Now, of the other 8 cards that are in this, I believe it was 2 of them are base cards. Is that right? That could be a parallel, a numbered.
You have 2 numbered, pretty much 2 numbered cards because all the cards are numbered for the base. You've got that. You have the metal cards. So you have 1 metal card per box. Again, all of it encased. And then you have your 6 autographs. So you have your 1977 Topps Tribute, or Tribute to 1977, which is, we took the original Star Wars packaging, as you guys know, like the lovely original one with C-3PO on it from 1977. We recreated those and then wrapped these autographs using the 1977 design, or a tribute to it, featuring some of the on-card autographs. And then the rest of them are a variety of different on-card autographs between our wood cards, our metal cards. We have gold frame cards, we have booklet cards, and then of course we have our single auto cards as well of all of that top talent.
So the ones of the 1977 throwback ones, are those reprints, or were those actually cards from the original set that were then like, because I know those have been like repackaged in some other sets where you take an older card and put it in with some additional numbering or an auto or something like that on there?
They're not buybacks, so no, it's considered a tribute to 1977. If you've seen our baseball, our tribute product, it's a little bit of that, where we do like a tribute to like T206 or a tribute to the 1952 Topps design. This is an homage, effectively using the design but creating like an autograph version of it, for all new characters. So it's not exclusive to the original trilogy cast. It will have all the different actors, from all the different Star Wars films and shows on there as well.
Okay, very cool. I'm curious, do you know if it has a booklet? Because the booklet sounds amazing. It's got like 7 autos or something on there. If you were so fortunate to have a booklet in yours, does that replace any of the 9 cards, or is that counted as one card?
Yes, so there is pretty much one tech auto per box, and it's going to be on the back end, like on the bottom side of the box, next to what you'll see in there as next to your original art card. So when you open up the box, there's 2 foam layers. The top layer is, of course, like the cover layer. So breakers will have to find out how to carefully unshow those and keep the suspense going. Then you take the top layer off, and underneath that is another layer of cards. With that, there's at least one tech autograph card, what we like to call. So it'd either be wood tech, metal tech, again, a framed card, or it would be one of these booklet cards. And that's kind of where that super hit lays.
That's okay. Now you made sure that I got that one, right? In my cases.
Yep.
Okay. Every time I pull a really good card, I yell that I got loaded boxes, just because I want to promote these lies, so that it makes, even if people believe the lie, it's like, well, at least they'll come to me for their stuff because they know I'm getting it. So just to be clear, that's not true. None of that is actually happening, just so we don't have any conspiracy theorists out there. Okay. Let's keep going then. So I'm looking through the checklist. I'm seeing some pretty amazing stars in here. The fact that we've got Pedro Pascal in here, we've got Oscar Isaac, Timothy Oliphant. The booklet has the how many, by the way, how many booklets are there? Is it just one?
There's one booklets of each, and a few of them have other variations sprinkled in there as well. But there's 2 main booklets. It's the original trilogy, and it's the Skywalker saga. So it's going to have all of the main characters from those. Again, the original trilogy one being what I would assume is going to be the product hit, or what I would say is the product hit. Holding all of Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and so on and so forth.
And that's, yeah, absolutely huge. And then the other one, it looks like you still have Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley, Mark Hamill's included in that one too, Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen, Harrison Ford, and Fisher. Yeah, that's actually what I would love, of course, the most. But since there's very few of them, we're not all gonna get that. The fact that you have Billy D. Williams still, Werner Herzog, there's Amelia Clark is in here. There's a number of other big names, Simon Pegg. I am curious, when you guys were going through this list of autos, like how do you guys go about getting autos from all of these celebs into a product like this?
It's really tough. I'll say that. Entertainment, and I've worked on all different sports. I've worked on F1, I've worked on UEFA, I've worked on baseball, I've worked with NHL, everything under the sun. And I can't tell you how much of a journey it is to put an on-card product out there for entertainment, because, actors are flying all over the world to shoot their films. They all have different, when they have their days off, they all definitely don't just want to spend them signing autographs, as much as I would love them to. So that's the tough aspect of it, is getting them all kind of accrued. We get a lot of opportunistic availabilities where someone will call us like, hey, so-and-so wants to sign, but he wants to sign in a week. Do you have cards ready for us? If we don't have cards ready, you got to sign them on stickers. And then that's where you kind of hold on to them, and you may never get them to sign for another, 2, 3, 4 years, maybe ever again. So we really have to take them where we can, which we are actually trying to get better about. We are trying to plan years in advance, trying to become our own fortune tellers, and to have these cards available at a moment's notice so that we can activate on these a little bit better. But in the meantime, in retrospective, it is very tough to go around and get a lot of these big names, like some that you've enlisted, to all come together in a 6 autograph on card program like this.
Yeah, I kind of like, as I went through the names on here, it's not like they just like get together for their game, like those teams just all form together, so they're all in one place at the same time. That like those things don't happen. So after looking through some of these names, and I'm realizing, oh, there's some autos that I think guys were probably going to expect that they're not actually going to be in the individual auto list. So like Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher. Well, of course, Carrie Fisher's not signing anymore, sadly. But these will not have their own individual cards with autos, but you can still get the booklet that would have them and a few others on there as well.
Right. And that's partially to keep the integrity. We think of the products being an on-card product, again, minus a booklet. I'm sure you've seen products like Masterworks where our pitch is on cards, but when you do dual and triple autograph cards, it's not feasible trying to get 3 different people to sign all at different times. So we do use stickers for those. And in this capacity, we thought it would be the same, where there is supposed to be that like super mega hit. And honestly, just in the concept of them not signing all the time or just not having on cards available all the time, it makes those autographs that are in market that much more valuable. There is some aspect to scarcity creating that much higher demand and much higher value for the times that you do get them too.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with like, Andy Serkis and Samuel L. Jackson, like I said, Amelia Clark, a few of these other, Ray Park, Emperor Palpatine, Ian, how do you say his last name? McDermott? Is that it? Okay. But anyways, like those guys are signing on card. Like I was actually pretty happy with that fact, even though, yes, do I wish the original cast was able to get in there? Sure. But do I understand how difficult that must be to get something? Yes. And it's not $5,000 like the, Stellar Signatures product was. So it is more reasonable. At least what it's coming out at is more reasonable. So these cards are all on-card autos. They are not sticker autos unless you get a booklet, which, of course, you have to with the fact you got Carrie Fisher and others on there. One auto that I don't see on as a sticker or anything else, and I'm just curious, do you guys have any stickers left for James Earl Jones for any future products or anything like that?
Yeah, we can't really talk to that, unfortunately. Even if we do or don't, sometimes it's also a matter of, do we have the rights to use what we have on shelf? Like, is there an expiring tail on a deal that we had? So there's a lot of different factors that a lot of people don't think about behind the scenes that go into what we can and can't do in a product. But believe me, I'm super unfortunate. I super sad the day that news came. It was somebody that we've been chasing to get back into the fold for a long time, and then just to lose a hero like that too was just a double hit.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that was an active thing trying to go after. That kind of makes me wonder too. The big, kind of news as we went into 2025 was Topps is not only keeping licensing for Star Wars, but they're also getting Disney and Marvel and Pixar and all this stuff. And it makes me wonder, as you go into start making products like this, how much interaction do you have to have? Because I mean, Star Wars is owned by Disney. Do you have to reach out to them to get approval on all of these products before they come out?
Specifically with a lot of our partners, especially with entertainment, I would say more so than with any other license I've ever worked on. There's, of course, a lot of red tape and a lot of brand guidelines that you have to adhere to because they're in the business of storytelling. And to some effect, if we put the wrong thing on our card backs or we put the wrong image, some people will take it as canon. And then now it's on us for creating a canon event in a series or something like that. We don't want to be the ones to mess up the universe that they're building. And we can't honestly be the ones that mess it up. So there's a lot of careful development and checking, QCing and QAing and everything that comes with every individual card is checked numbers of times before they're actually printed.
But knowing that importance of what goes into it and how seriously Disney and others take it, it kind of makes me feel even more so how special the cards are. I mean, and I'm not just saying that as a fanboy, and I'm not saying it as oh God, I hope I don't ruin any relationship with Topps. I do seriously mean hey, if there is that much QC that goes into these things, that they are making sure it's not a canon event, which is changing the whole storyline of a series or something like that because the wrong thing was printed. I don't know. It's okay, Do they come out at a higher value? Yes, but there's also, like you said, more work that goes into that than there was ever to get like maybe the Otani auto on like the 1 of 1 or something like similar sports reference.
Yeah, I don't want to disparage anything my sports buddies are doing, but I will say there is a lot of love and care that goes into entertainment products. And again, just like the hard work on both our team sides. So my team side, the product dev team at Disney for all of these Marvel, Star Wars, Disney in general. We come to the table, we say, hey, this is a really cool idea we have. They say, we've never done anything like this before. And so they have several different departments they have to go to get clearances. They have a story team with Star Wars that every single card back gets checked by them to say, does this fit the story that we're trying to tell? If we're ever doing relics or something, or autographs of certain characters, it always goes through them to say, is this in line with the world again that we're building with Star Wars and the story that we're trying to tell? Does it all jive together? Where we can't just make up like an insert name and then just hope it sticks, because it's not. If it doesn't make sense to Star Wars, we can't do it and we won't do it. So we have to be very careful about building that world together.
Well, and that even goes to the name of Galactic Antiquities, because I did, after looking into that a little bit more, that is actually the name of the shop of Stellan Skarsgård's character, Luthen.
Andor, right?
Andor, thank you. Geez. Series 1, or the first season of Andor, was literally my favorite of all the Star Wars. And that was actually something I was going to ask you too, is do you have to keep up with the shows? Do you watch all of the shows along with the movies? But obviously somebody does, because the name Galactic Antiquities is involved with the series Andor and was the name of the actual shop in the show.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I don't think of it as work when I have to watch it, because I love that stuff anyways. Like, I'd be watching those shows whether I got paid to or not. So I love sitting there. And honestly, it's even cool because I get to watch them multiple times with a different eye to things. If I see something in a shot where I'm like, that could be in our world of trading cards, like that's a cool piece. In the product for Galactic Antiquities, we have Beskar metal autographs. Like, that is a piece that you see in the show with that like very grooved design, almost credit style Imperial credits that are made out of Beskar metal. Like, those are the things we want to take out of that world and bring into ours to bring people closer to the stories that they're trying to tell too. So it almost feels like we're maintaining that suspension of disbelief between the show and the physical products that we make.
That is maybe one of the most baller things I've ever heard someone say, is like, oh, I'm watching the show and I'm thinking, oh, I would like that for some of my cards in the future. That's amazing. Like, how many people at home are like, oh man, I wish I had that, blaster or something for my wall. And it's like, you actually have the opportunity to get pieces of it. It blows my mind. It's very cool. All right. I'd like to transition just a little bit before we make a larger transition. Staying in the Star Wars universe. At the same time, though, I just got noticed today that there was another announcement of another Star Wars product that comes out in, I think, 2 weeks' time, Star Wars Hyperspace. Can you talk anything about this?
Yeah, I mean, Hyperspace, I think we've teased it here and there. This one is, I would say, so deep canon and so deep of a cut. It's a very like Star Wars aficionados product, in my opinion. There's a lot of really big hitter cards, so there is hit and chase, but it's few and far between. So it's very much so focused on the parallels in the product and the cards themselves and trying to set collect. It focuses on 4 to 5 planet, kind of what we've loosely based Hyperspace brand on is. It's about 4 to 5 planets a year that we want to focus on and really bring out. This year we have Bespin, Naboo, Hoth, and I want to say Mustafar is the last one that we held on for that one. And those are all encapsulated in the base set. So the base set for each one of those planets is compiled of all of them. It will show you the biggest characters from those planets, whether they've had origin stories or they've had moments. So, for example, on the Hoth cards, you'll see the Wampa, you'll see Luke in his Hoth gear. On Mustafar, you'll see, of course, Darth Vader or Anakin at the time, kind of like in process, but you'll see the panning droid too, which is like a super deep cut. But we made it for like the super, super deep niche, but loving like fan base that really just wants like, hey, you watched You watched the original trilogy, and you saw the little like turret gun in the snow from Hoth, and you collected it maybe as a toy in the 70s or the 90s or whenever you started collecting the toys. There's a card for that now.
There's going to be some real big nerds out there who are loving that, and I am one of them. That is so cool that you're making something for that part of the fandom.
Yeah, I love it a lot. It's going to be, again, for like the super diehard fan, in my opinion, but there is a ton of chase to come out of it as it rips. And the boxes, man, I haven't seen a box as cool as the boxes that those come in. So I'm excited for people to kind of see them and play with them and get a real feel for what we're trying to do with that brand.
So Hyperspace will be something that you guys are likely to continue to do, but just with different planets in mind or different parts of the galaxy.
Right. We really want to keep going with it. Of course, we'll let the market dictate how people feel about it. If there is enough super nerds like us out there that will buy into it, but I really love it, and I really want to keep going with it.
It looks like it also includes, and maybe this is incorrect on this website I'm looking at, but is it Kashyyyk? Isn't that Chewbacca's homeworld too?
Right.
Okay.
Yep, that's the Wookiee planet. We also, we've got a lot of cool little niche things. We have Galactic Origins cards, so it kind of showcases almost not like a downtown or like a home field advantage, but something a little bit to show like a character in their home planet with a true original art background to it. We have Jump to Hyperspace cards, which is pretty much a cockpit view with some really cool parallels off of that, showing just like spaceships jumping to hyperspace. That classic Star Wars shot of the behind the back looking forward into space. And then again, the number of really cool sketch cards. We got autographs. The Reflections cards come back again in this one as a continuity insert. So if you like those in Topps Chrome, you'll love them here. We're rolling with those again, and I think it's going to be a cool program for people to keep going with too.
I just heard in the other room here at the studio, Chewbacca is actually over there. Hang on, let me see if I can get... I am so sorry that happened. All right. The fact that there's autos in it, the fact that you got more sketches, but it's also a different take, a different perspective on the galaxy and how you guys have done cards. I am so happy to know that we got another one coming out, and one actually that, you know, because there's already talk that Galactic Antiquities, it's probably going to price out some people just because it is a little bit more, it's higher end, and it's going to be one that maybe not everyone is going to be able to just go out and buy a box of, but this one I'm assuming will be a little bit more price efficient for some that are looking to get into some more Star Wars cards.
Yeah, I would say so. It's definitely doesn't touch War Galactic Antiquities as if that's the concern.
February 19th, that one comes out. Now, there's one other one, another release that we're going to jump we're going to jump multi-universe to, we're going X-Men 97, baby, February 26th, and we get to talk about it right now.
When we first got the Marvel license back, this was one of the first things outside of the EMEA products, of course, or the European products that we put out, that we kind of dreamed up. And I think this is one of the most, for me, nerdy, fun nerd out products that we've made in a long time. It's almost like a time capsule is kind of how I pitched it, in that it is, hey, you woke up in 1997, you just finished your last episode of the X-Men animated series, and you wanted to go to your local hobby store and buy a box of Finest. This is it. This is the product that you would have bought back then. It's so nostalgic, and especially for me too, being someone that like grew up doing that, like watching the cartoons in the mornings and being able to go back and go to a card shop and maybe buy a pack or two. This was one of the things I would have lost all my allowance on. And now we're bringing it back to the modern trading card world. So there's a few modern tweaks to it, of course, but there is a lot of nostalgia layered and baked into this one.
So some of these cards, now this is, again, X-Men 97 is the I guess the continuation of the classic just X-Men animated series that came out, I guess, in 1997, and the series is on Disney Plus. They're about to have a season 2. It was very widely well received. I actually have watched all of it but the last few episodes, and then in preparation of our show today, because I found out about this morning that we get to talk about this, I did a little deep dive to finish off the rest of the series. I am very curious as to some of what you guys are going to do with these cards. Is there any chance that we get any of Avengers also in here? Because in the series you have Captain America and Iron Man. I know this has nothing to do with X-Men, but I just had to ask right off the bat, would those characters happen to pop up in this?
Yep. So with a lot of again love and work and slow explanation, we were able to get the approval to use those characters in this product. Now we know they're not X-Men necessarily, but there are what we're calling them cameo cards in this. They are part of the base set, but they'll be marked with a cameo notification to say, like, yes, Captain America's in this, Spider-Man's in this set. So those characters from the show will be in the base set. Correct.
I could not be happier. I didn't see it in the marketing materials, but after watching the show, I was like, well, it would be a shame that they didn't do something like that. So the short prints, though, that I'm seeing, the fact that you have a short print that is just called da-na-na-na-na-na, like, that's pretty, just hats off, little slow golf clap. Where did that come up from?
That came, so our product manager, Mark Cruz, on this one, both big nerds, big fans of the show. Pretty much every time we were talking about this product, that was the first thing that you'd hear in the background was him just hitting the da-na-na-na-na-na. And lo and behold, there is actually an asset with Marvel that they've created this entire, it almost looks like a lyric sheet. So if you were to look up lyrics for your favorite song, they have it. And all it is just a bunch of da-na-na-na-na-na, and it's fully laid out, the perfect amount. So if you ever wanted to find out the actual, like however many da-na-na-na-nas are in it, that is the new source of truth, in my opinion. And even more to add to it, if you couldn't get more nostalgic than that, guess what? It's a 9-card puzzle set. So you have to build the puzzle for it. The front of it is effectively a full poster of the X-Men 97, all the characters together, and then the card backs come together to create that da-na-na-na-na-na set.
I can't tell. When I read that this morning, I was like, it's so crazy, the timing, because I was just opening this weekend. I had a buddy over and I gave him some packs of Back to the Future 2 that was like done in 1989 by Topps, and they had a feature like that where you would turn it over and it would have puzzle pieces of the poster for the movie Back to the Future 2 where you put together. And then I'm seeing you guys doing that same thing in a today version of a product that I don't know, I feel equally as nerdy about. And I feel that specifically, even though I'm not really into putting puzzles together from cards, that will be something I will go after. And I think a lot of people will.
Yeah, I will say it is a very short print insert on its own. So it will really be the master builder that wants to go out and chase that set. And my hat's off to anyone that does it. And I would love to see it. So if you do finish it, please send me pictures.
Absolutely. Can I just say, just a marketing idea, just off the top of my head, you get a children's choir that when on release day of the product comes out and just sings the da-na-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Like, I'm just saying, just an idea. I would sell every box that you had ever. And
the person that misses it by one card gets me, and I get to come and I get to sing it to you. So be careful what you wish for.
Well, that's a done deal. That's going to happen for sure. All right. So not only do we have the short prints that we mentioned, there's also Children of the Atom, Omega Level, tribute to 97 or Finest 97. What is the tribute to Finest 97? That's just more of like a look of 97 Finest Baseball. Is that right?
So it's not 97 Finest Baseball. It is a tribute to the 97 Topps Baseball set. So that classic kind of like almost watercolor border from the 1997 Topps series. Yeah, because baseball in the 90s, the base set was very eclectic, and we're already doing that with the base set here. So this one was just a 1997 Topps Baseball pull from that. But all the character art that you'll see in the base set is varied onto that design.
And how many characters are in this? I didn't see that in here. I may have just missed it. Do you know that is?
I believe it's somewhere around like 50 something, because there are a lot of repeats. So to really break down what this is, again, if you are a 90s kid that loved Topps products and you loved Finest and you chased all that, like true to the 96, 97 set, 97, 98, this one does have a multi-tier base set. So there is all these variety of almost what you would call insert designs nowadays. So we have the Destroyers design from the original. We have the Topps Finest Masters design from the original. And we have got a few new ones, like we have Rise in there as well. And this is effectively the bronze base set, which will be the most common one. Then you've got your silver, which will be using all those designs, but with a silver border. And then you've got your gold rare ones. So those are your characters that you would say are like the top end of the top end. And they're spread out all throughout it. So again, you can get 2 Magneto cards, one of them in the bronze base with one insert look design, and then one of them maybe with the gold Finest Masters design as like the super rare version of it too.
Okay, very cool. And then you also, to go along with this, you do have autos, but you've got voice actor autos to go into this product. Can I ask you about the autos that were included in the product that came out from Topps UK, the Marvel product that had the character autos like Wolverine's autograph in there? I get the autograph concept because there's some people who just don't understand what that was, but was there any thought to doing something like that in a product like this where you continue to use the animated version of the character?
Yeah, we want to keep that as a very special thing. It's got a lot of heat behind it right now. It's got a lot of love in the hobby. You don't want to kill that. You want to make sure that it stays specific to one component of the hobby. So these ones are actual autographs, actual voice actor autographs, signed on card from the voice actor. So if you're not chasing the base set or you're not chasing the sketch cards, you're chasing the voice actors. So there's a little bit of everything in here for all different types of collector.
When you think of this set and you think of the Antiquities set and you think of the Hyperspace set, is there something that you are most excited about, or is it just like an equally excited across the board because you are in a position of leadership and you're not allowed to say?
I mean, again, me and my team work closely on all these products together. My product managers, these are their babies. They see from beginning to end. I'm there to kind of begin the origins of it, like plant the seeds, help them grow it. And then I'm there at the end to harvest. So we're there kind of during the process to refine it, fine tune it, but they're the ones really working on this stuff. But together, there is a lot of, again, shared love in this space. We're all card nerds. We're all nerds. And we want to buy and see this stuff as much as people buying it want to see and buy this stuff. We end up spending a lot of our own money on our own products, as crazy as it sounds. So we bite our teeth and sweat out, and we're just waiting for it to drop. A lot of the times it's just, that nervous energy of like, we think this is super cool. We've seen it for the last year. Maybe we're too close to it. And then it drops and somebody likes this insert, but maybe they don't like this one. And it's kind of like you're rolling with the punches because you think everything's cool or you really want this thing to work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But the greatest gratification, I think us as not baseball card makers, but trading card makers in general is just hearing that someone like saw a design that's maybe not like the most expensive card, but that they love that card. Because that to me is the coolest part of it, is like a common dropping insert that someone's going to penny sleeve and put in their collection because they think the card design is just super cool and they're happy that it was made. Like that's the stuff that really gets us going for making products and trying to make the next best thing too.
Well, I will say that I feel like some of the more recent releases of the non-sport side of Topps have been really just nailing it as far as like the I think of like Topps Chrome Galaxy that came out, the art on those cards, that's what I felt like on every card. It was like, oh, that's just the base card. But there were times where I'm like, oh, well, the Mojo Fractor pattern, even though it looks cool and I know it's going to be more valuable, I kind of just want the base because then there's no interference with the design or the artwork that's on the card. It's like you guys are going above and beyond to make sure that even a base card has value to the guy who just likes the art. And that's where I think you guys are nailing it, because that's exactly what I don't want to feel like I have to throw away the base card because there's no value to it, because when the value comes from, oh, it's just a general love for what I'm seeing on this piece of cardboard, that value is more than the value of money, well, given the certain dollar amount, but it has a certain value that makes me want to keep it.
Yeah, I mean, we know the audience we play to too. Like we're gone to comic book shops. If everyone was just buying comic books to get the rare variant cover or whatever and to flip it and turn a dime, the comic book industry would die. They're there for the cool art inside. They're there for the story. They're there for the comic creators really putting their passion into it. And we kind of take that same approach to our trading cards. It's if the content's not there and the substance isn't there when you're not opening up a pack with a mega hit or a hit that's going to pay for your box or whatever that is, we still want you to enjoy the journey that you're on at the end of it. Say, hey, I just bought this box. Maybe I didn't hit a $20,000 card, but I enjoyed the journey on the way there, and I cherish the cards I have in my hand.
Can I ask you a couple questions that have nothing to do, well, I shouldn't say nothing, but they have less to do with Star Wars and Marvel specifically, and maybe just more to do with like the world of culture and entertainment cards that Topps is working on and has worked on in the past?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. So I put out a mailbag to the non-sports cards nonsense Facebook group just to see what questions that guys might have had in general, because I know there's limits to what we can talk about for future products, but maybe just something in general. Ryan Nolan had asked this, and he was actually on this podcast a couple weeks ago. He wanted to know, it seems like the non-sports cut autos in Transcendent have been getting a ton of praise and engagement online. Are there any thoughts on building out historical sets again? And he compared it to, say, like the old Look and See product or American Heritage, or maybe even more recent, the American Pie sets.
I would love to answer that because I have some thoughts and whatnot. Fortunately, I can't talk about future products or things that will in the works. But just know that we love our heritage too, and I am a huge, as much as I am a Marvel comic books and Star Wars and everything junkie, I am also a history buff, and I love those old sets that we put out. And I weirdly enough spend too much money at the National on the small look and see cards that are in these like dollar bins or in like $10 bins or whatever. That's my little niche that I love going after too. So would love to see that more.
Okay. And is that like something that you are going to be over, as far as like, other than just the four main ones that keep popping into my head are the Disney, the Pixar, the Marvel, and Star Wars? You would cover basically anything that has to do with, just say, a cultural entertainment side of things. Could be movies, TV shows, music, things like that.
Yeah, of course, Ginter's always going to have a say over like the odds and ends type of thing, the curio stuff. But as far as the rest of it goes, I like to think that I have the purview over anything that's non-sports. So if it's something like a historical set, if it's like a old 1950s top scoop set, or if it's like the My Funny Valentines, all the little weird ones that we used to do back in the day, and if we're ever thinking about bringing those back, I would expect it to fall under my team.
And what about like things like, say, Garbage Pail Kids? That's another product that Topps has been known for decades. Is that something that you have any involvement in?
Yes. It is under team. So all of our Topps IPO stuff, the Mars attacks, the GPK stuff, and good shout, this is the 40th anniversary of GPK. So be on the lookout. Didn't say there was a product coming, but it is the 40th anniversary, so let's celebrate.
Well, I think there may be something already out there as far as people rumoring things. I won't ask you any questions just in case it's not okay, but I do know that GPK has, even though it's the guys that I talk to, they haven't been like overwhelmingly like pressing me for it. There is a 2024, and this is public, it's already out on multiple sales websites, 2024 Topps Garbage Pail Kids. They have a product that comes out, I believe, on the 14th of this month. So what, like 2 weeks from now? That one, I know a few guys have asked me already, hey, are you getting any of that Garbage Pail Kids? Have you guys seen any kind of resurgence in as far as demand for that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a diehard fan base for Garbage Pail Kids, as we all know. and they're, again, super loyal and true to the brand. It does have a lot of diffusion outside of it now, especially with kind of bringing it back to the forefront of the trading card community with Bowman last year. I think that really brought some shine back to the GPK portfolio of things. The product you're talking about is the 2024 GPK Chrome set. So that is the one we're doing year over year, where we're chroming up a classic original series. I believe this one is original series 7. And then creating, of course, Chrome parallels, because those never existed back in the 80s when those sets were coming out, 80s and 90s. So that is what that product would be. Again, there's sketch cards in it. There's artist autographs. There's a lot of cool chase, new ones. We have Chrome Crashers in there, bringing back some of that cool, like almost Ed Roth, Rat Fink looking art, but with our GPK characters in them.
I have a question to go, I guess, past that and back to more of the entertainment side. And this is something I was really wondering myself. Jeremy Walker wanted to know, have there ever been any movie or TV or any pop culture series that Topps passed on and looked back on with regret?
Ooh, I mean, considering that, like, in the 80s, we never said no to any TV shows or movies. In my time here, I don't think so. I think that we've been pitched a lot, or we've gone after a lot, and for one reason or another, they just never worked out. I don't think there's any to the grade of a Star Wars that we were pitched on, or we could have gone with, and then we didn't. And then we look back in fondness and ask, like, why didn't we do that? So to answer that question, no, I don't think so. But of course, I would love to make cards of every movie if we could.
Well, that's the thing. It used to be where literally, like, if you can think of an IP of something back in maybe the 90s, a movie or TV, you can probably find a card set having to do with it. And more than likely, Topps was probably involved with it to some extent. Now, today, we don't see that as much. And, you know, there's some good reasons. Sometimes of course, we call the 90s era the junk wax era, and a lot of that stuff got overproduced. But now I feel like more and more we're seeing demand for non-sport cards, whether that's TV shows or movies or music. Do you feel that the non-sport side of the card hobby has grown in the past few years since, say, the COVID boom?
I think so, for sure. I think it's about also offering those people something that's not just the top tier chase, like that there is something for all levels of collector that may not have existed before. And I also think, again, there's way more people in this world that watch movies than probably watch any one individual sport, I would think. So you're touching people at all levels of their fandom, whether they're a diehard fan or they're just like a fan in passing that's walking through a Target or their local hobby shop, and they see a pack of a Star Wars card and they're like, oh, my kid would love this because I love it. Let me share that with them. I think it's also a lot of a specific generation. So my generation, millennials and Gen Xers, that are sharing their passions from the 80s and 90s and so on with their kids now. And a great, easy way to do it is trading cards. What's more nostalgic for those generations than trading cards and movies?
I want to know everything you're not supposed to tell me. So I think at this point in time, I just need to ask, is there anything that, like, I guess in the realm of the things you like, which we've established, you like comic book and Star Wars, is there anything that you find nostalgic or any of the old sets that are more of your personal favorites?
Oh man, I get into the weird stuff. Like, there's an old 1980s Japanese magazine, baseball magazine. I think it's 1981, and they have an entire Lucha Libre set that I collect. And you can get like the old Blue Demon or El Santo and Mil Mascara. Like those cards are so cool to me. The old 1980s All-Star Wrestler sets, those are cool. I collect some of the weirdest little things. Like I said, the Look and See set has always grabbed my fascination. There's a 1960, I think it's 63 new set of all the old like Universal monsters and scary creatures. They're, people don't really care about that stuff, and you can get it for $1, and it means a lot to me. And I think that's what collecting is your trash is my treasure, and I love that stuff.
Do you collect Pokemon or anything like that?
I used to collect Pokemon. I used to be a diehard Pokemon person, and then all of my allowance went from Pokemon slowly into baseball cards as I turned into my teenage years. So I still do have a soft spot for it, but I can't say I'm a massive Pokemon card collector.
I've thought about this for a while. Topps makes so many baseball cards as is. Why not make a series, or it could just be one set of baseball in the movies or baseball in cinema, and just do like a bunch of cards from, say, like Field of Dreams and Angels in the Outfield and Major League, and just put them all into one big chase. I don't know. I personally think that would be amazing.
So again, I can't talk too much to it. But I will say we do have our old archives products. If you've ever seen some of the ones that we used to do, we have Bull Durham autograph cards in archives from, I forget what year it was. We have Sandlot that's out there. I think we have Major League in an older set too. So there are some. Those cards now book for a ton. I've got one of the Hercules cards, and I think it books for some good money.
Hercules the dog does good money over like Ham or Benny the.
They're all there too. They book plenty fine, but the dog, man, it's the beast.
I mean, hey, that is very, very cool. Another one I would like you guys to do. Don't tell me if you're doing it or not. I just want you to take this and run with it. Not Power Rangers. Captain Planet. So they made some of these cards, but they're very hard to find. They are very, very hard to find. Like Dunkin' Donuts did some, and then I think Cacao Wow just put out some. And I don't know. I'm not a big Cacao Wow fan at the end of the day, but I just want there to be some more Captain Planet cards out in the world. I know that they are actually going to be, I guess the licensing got sold. They supposedly are making more movies and things like that. So just, when that contract comes across the table, just say, yes, I'll take that. And we'll make cards of that.
So I'll give you a little inside baseball in that, like, we're talking about weird niche kind of, not weird, but the niche things that we loved from back in the day. And sometimes we've been approached with licenses, and a lot of the times they have the naming rights to it. But then when it goes time to make a trading card set, we need a lot of imagery to make a 100-card base set and then beyond. Many a times there is no imagery available, and there is no like screen capture method to get those. So while there is probably 1,000 cool trading card sets we can make in this world, we're also limited to whatever assets are available that the publishing studio or the rights studio has to give us to. So unfortunately, if you've ever wondered why there isn't like a trading card set of the Elfudge cookies or something, maybe they just don't have the assets to give us to make those rookie cards available to people too.
Another just idea. All of my ideas are genius, so of course I'm going to share them with you. Cards that are about food printed on that food. The the elves printed on to the cookies, sold by Topps. I mean, you guys were already making gum. I mean, why not? Like we're that close already.
Yes, they would love us. They would love it. There's a bunch of people sending in salmon, like year-old salmon.
We've never had more rats in our grading companies than there are now. Thank you for this, Aaron. And I really, really do hope that we can have you back in the future, because honestly, like, I would love to have Ruben, and I'd love to have Mahan. I'd love to have all the big names of Fanatics and Topps to come on. But you are kind of the guy that is going to be the hero of the non-sport world as it stands right now. So I would love to continue to be able to pick your brain going forward.
I love it, man. I really appreciate what you're doing for the non-sport side. There's, I feel like, 1,000 podcasts about baseball cards and sports cards and whatnot. And this is one out here that's really trying to plant the flag in the ground and say, hey, we're out here too, and we love what we're doing, and there is a huge fan base for it. So very much so appreciated on this side too.
Well, thank you, Aaron, man. And we appreciate you. If people do you have social media if people want to follow you, or is it just like, hey, just if you want to support, go get some Topps non-sport cards?
I've got my social is usually private, but if you ever see me in public, or if I know you, I'm happy to talk, whatever. Hang out, take a picture, talk sports cards, talk non-sports cards, whatever. You'll see me, tackle me, stop me, whatever. I love to talk cards, man. Like this is what I do all day. I'm obsessed with it, and there is no better spot for me to be in than being on this side of the business.
That's very cool. I mean, as the second coolest guy at Topps, I'm going to go ahead and say it. At least probably close to tied with first. I mean, I don't know for sure, but very close.
I'll work on my mustache for the next time, and then we'll check again. Yeah,
Aaron Abrams, Director of Culture and Entertainment at Topps. Thank you again, man. So there you go. There was the interview with Aaron Abrams, which I will say, as a nerd and non-sport enthusiast, could not have been more excited to talk with him. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. There's already talks of having him back on. There's nothing specific, but I've already been told, like, hey, not too much longer, we're going to start hearing about more non-sport releases. So very excited to know that Topps is making this a big concern, not just like in the, the comic / Disney realm, but I think we're expanding out even to hopefully some of the like just seeing more celebrity autos and things like that in products. As we continue to go down this hobby nonsense journey, I really do appreciate all the feedback that you guys have been able to give, whether that's through the comments on videos or the short form media content, or just messaging me directly. Thank you. Like, your support, the fact that you subscribe, you leave reviews, things like that, help me to know what direction to take this thing. But it's also really cool to hear from you guys, know what you guys like, know what you don't like, know what you would like to hear more of. And then, of course, as we continue to push forward with this, I want to expand out of just the normal podcast scenario. I would like to do maybe like a live setting, or at least like go out on the street, man on the street. That's an old segment I used to do on our other podcast. I'd love to do something like that as well. But anything that you guys want to hear more of, again, continue to reach out and let me know. Again, your support means a lot, and you can show that best by like, subscribe, follow, whatever that is. Please continue to do that. So thank you guys. We look forward to your next episode. Talk to you soon.